Was your spirit moved? Best ever, Philip. Best ever. Good luck. Well, I'm excited to introduce our guest speaker today, even though she needs no introduction here at Unity of Dallas Spiritual Center. Rev Bev was a member here. She volunteered, she served, she grew, she went to Unity Village. She decided that she was going to be a LUT and a ABC, and now she is a fully ordained Unity minister, and we're so excited that she was here last Sunday. So are you adding to last Sunday? And she's going to talk to us today about abundance, and I love that. So help me welcome Rev Bev Pryor.
Thank you, Amy. She's always very kind and generous with her introduction. I'm going to put this down for the moment, because we'll start with meditation, and then I'll mention the t-shirt. So if you will, just get comfortable in your chair. You might want to put both feet on the floor and let your arms rest where your hands are on your lap. I like to turn my hands up and an open, it's called a mudra, when your hands are in a certain position. If you have a certain one you like to use, that's one too. But this one is the open, receiving and giving both, the flow. So if you will, just sit with your spine erect. I like to lift up my shoulders and pull them back and drop them down, because that just opens up that heart center. Allow your spine to be straight. Just think of a string from your tailbone through the top of your head, just pulling you in alignment. Now just notice your body sitting on the chair, how the chair fully supports the weight of your body, whatever that might be today. Just fully supported and connected in, and your feet grounding into the earth, pulling that energy from Mother Gaia up and through your body. We open the area in the top of our head. Allow that connection with all there is. And together, let's take a deep breath in. A slight pause at the top, and then out through your nose, gently and slowly. Another deep breath in. Slight pause, and release. And one more deep breath together. And release. The breath connects us, mind, body, and spirit in this now moment. It also connects us one with another. Together we are one presence. Together we unite heart and mind and spirit. Just allow your attention to come to your breath as it's entering your nostrils, flowing in and flowing out. Notice as you breathe in, it's just a little bit cool. And as you breathe out, it's just ever so slightly warmer. Breathing in, cooler. Breathing out, warmer. moves deeper and deeper within. Moving to the very center of your being. Your secret place of the Most High. You've been here before. You know it well. It's where you began this journey. It's where you know the very truth of your being. You are love. You are joy. And you are peace. Now together, knowing that we are connected and we are one, we allow this truth of our being to expand together to fill this room and this building and this city and the state of Texas, and moving out across the United States and enveloping the entire world. And as we hold love and joy and peace, we move into a moment of silence. From this shared stillness, we slowly bring our attention back to this moment and this time, bringing back with us that consciousness, that truth of our being, that in this moment we have shared with the world and beyond. For this truth and so much more, we simply say thank you. Thank you, thank you. And so it is. Allow yourself to take a deep breath if that's comfortable. Move your feet, your toes. And slowly open your eyes if that's what you feel like doing in this moment. And if you want to stay in that space, that's cool too. Before I get started with my talk, this week there was an event here at Unity of Dallas, and thank you everyone at Unity of Dallas for hosting the regional conference. I was on the planning committee for that, so I was here. Somebody said to me, "Are you sleeping in the building?" I'm like, "No, I'm just here because we have an activity going on." But there were a lot of people who showed up and volunteered. A lot of them were wearing this wonderful t-shirt. I think Lynn Patterson organized getting these produced. The volunteers, if you were here this week volunteering, because some of you didn't even know why you were volunteering. And I think that's wonderful, because somebody asked me, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Well, it's the regional conference." But you showed up to volunteer, even when you didn't know why. And I think that's amazing. So if you volunteered at all or you attended the conference, please stand up. We just want to acknowledge everyone. Thank you. There's ministers and licensed teachers and lay leaders and So if you notice, this is a God is, I am, and this one says I create, and thinking and creating are the same energy. I pray and I act, we say sometimes love and do. So don't get hung up if the words are a little bit different. It's the same formula, and it's amazing, and I'm so proud of you all for having these t-shirts and for acknowledging the volunteers. And it's such a good reminder, because you know every time I'm here, what I talk about, the 5 principles. That's why? Because they work. Having an awareness and putting these things into action in your life, integrating it. You know, once you learn something, you really have to integrate it. So the first one is God is, the absolute good. Everywhere present, the Hermetic principles call it the all. Everywhere present. You know, every week when you say, even if you're not doing the 5 principles all the time, like I'm shoving down your throat, in the beginning of your service, you say, there's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent. You're stating the first principle every single time. Did you know that? Did you know you were claiming that every single Sunday? You are beginning your service in a sacred moment of claiming the truth of this foundation. Because if you don't get this first one, the rest of them don't quite click for you, right? So if you don't understand that God is everywhere all the time, how can you accept that you are, in fact, an expression of God? And sometimes people say child of God. I don't really tend to use that myself, but it's still, a child is an expression of the parent, right? It's an expression. It's not a patriarchal or matriarchal relationship. It is genetically, I look a lot like my mother did. And I act a lot like my dad did. So genetically, I'm an expression of both of my parents. But we're an expression, and when we think, I think, our words create. So this is why in my talk about prosperity, I really want you to understand how important understanding these principles are, because this is what changes your life. Understanding the principles and putting them into action. Now, awareness of God, how do we do that? Prayer, meditation, prayer, meditation, prayer, meditation, prayer, meditation. And consciously acknowledging in gratitude as you see God being expressed. And if you don't want to believe that God is good all the time, you don't have to believe that. But the more you believe it, the more you see it. You know? But didn't Wayne Dyer write a book about that? Mm-hmm. He said, no, it's not I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it, which is what people often say. I'll see it when I believe it. Because you have to believe. And of course, knowing all of this is nothing if you don't act upon it. You've got to act upon it. And I know I'm not repeating this because I think you're not getting it. I'm repeating it. I know. You think, I know. It's not that. It's not that. It's just that repetition is how we learn. And the more we understand, and I love that Lynn, you missed where I was talking about your t-shirts. I love that you've put it on a t-shirt. So last week I shared this statement from Charles Fillmore. The law of giving and receiving, as Jesus taught it, is the law of mind action that can be learned and applied. I think this is so important to remember. You can apply metaphysical principles. You can learn to say them, but you only really learn them when you apply them. When you take action and you go, whoa, that worked. It's not magic and it's not a miracle. It is the outworking of law. Because it works. Why is it called law? Because it works every time. There are, in the Hermetic principles, mutable and immutable laws. We usually talk about immutable laws, right? So when we did the meditation, we did a little bit of this, but you all are familiar. Many of you have studied heart math, and you know exactly what this diagram is. Science has proven that not only do we have an aura, which some of you might be able to see auras, that's not my gift, but I believe that people can. People have seen all kinds of things going on around me, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's probably true, because I can feel some of them. But we all have an electromagnetic field around us. And we are in control of it. Did you know that? Did you know when you pray and you meditate, you expand your electromagnetic field? Did you know when you criticize and you judge, you contract your magnetic field? You have this ability, every single one of you, whether you're aware of it or not. Some of us are more sensitive. I'm a more sensitive person. So I feel energy, and I can see the effects of energy. I don't see the colors, but energy, it's real. It's happening all the time. You can feel when someone walks in the room, even before you've turned around to see who it is. Certain people, you feel them very strongly in one way or another, right? So think about this. Love expands. Fear contracts. Acceptance expands. Judgment contracts. Why do I want you to really, I mentioned it last week, I showed you this image, but I really want you to understand why this is important in prosperity. Because you are putting out there, last week we talked about giving, right? We talked about the giving and receiving flow. Why is giving? Receiving is also good, right? We're talking about receiving this week. But understand what you're putting out there is also what you're getting back. And the more you expand your field, the broader your influence, the broader your possibilities. Prayer and meditation broadens the possibilities of how the receiving can show up for you. We're really big on specific prayer in Unity. We like our denials and affirmations, regardless of the circumstances that appear that this is happening in my life. I know truth, and I claim my good. It's a denial and an affirmation. But the thing is, we've got to focus on the affirmation. We have to believe it so that we can receive it. It's not just the believe and receive culture. Right? So a lot of people do that. Believe and receive, believe and receive. And you know what? It works. It does. However, it's not consistent if you don't truly understand what's happening. It can happen sometimes just by believe and receive, but it's all about what we truly own for ourselves. So are you familiar with the revealing word? It's one, along with the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. It is one of the ways in which we interpret. So in giving and receiving, it says it's necessary to give freely if we're going to receive freely. Give what freely? Everything. What, especially whatever you believe you lack. If you feel like there's not enough love in your life, learn to say, I love you. Learn to look someone in the eye and make a connection. Learn to give from your heart. When you do that, you'll start noticing how people love and adore you. And you'll be like, wow, but you got to receive it, right? You can't just then say, oh, well, I'm more comfortable giving than receiving. When you don't receive what someone is offering you, you're turning off for them their ability to give to you. So when someone wants to give you something, someone gave me a small amount of cash this week, and I was like, okay, it was kind of funny. But I had to stop myself from thinking, okay, I'm not sure why you gave me cash, but I'm going to appreciate that someone just decided to do that. For whatever reason, that's what was on their heart to give. And it's for me to say sincerely, thank you very much for thinking of me in that way. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Sometimes people give us a gift that we don't really know what we're going to do with it. But the grateful receiving is what increases your ability to receive more. It goes on to say the knowledge that substance is omnipresent, the first principle, and also our opening statement, and that man cannot, therefore, impoverish himself by giving, and they put in parentheses, but rather will increase his supply, the knowledge will enable man to give freely and cheerfully. The more you understand that your giving will never result in a lack in any way. You can give your love, you can give of your gifts, of your treasures, of your time, and there's never going to be lack in your life as long as you're giving from consciousness of abundance and you're giving freely. Not out of obligation, not with, I'm giving with this hand and I'm waiting to get something back with this hand. You have to understand that the flow is there, and you have to open your heart and your mind to receive it, but you're not like, okay, I'm going to give it, but I need to know where mine's coming from. That's a transaction, right? When we go buy a shirt, we give some money, we get our shirt. This is not the same principle. This is our consciousness. You can't outgive God. And substance in this sentence is with a capital S. Substance meaning source, meaning God, meaning our supply. So in Matthew 7:8, it says, for everyone who asks receives, and everyone who searches finds, and everyone who knocks, the door will be open. I know sometimes when we're looking for a job, or we're looking for a partner, or we're looking for an increased flow in our life, sometimes we don't believe this is true because we're not seeing it. But that's really where we need to step back and think about that field of energy that we are creating. How are we moving in the world? Are we saying, oh, the job market, the this, the that, there's not enough men, there's not enough women, there's not quality people, I don't get enough love in my life and my family, my son doesn't respect. Well, what are you putting into your field? That's what you're going to get back. But when you put expectation and faith and belief into the field, you will get back. Pressed down, we used that verse last week. Pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. So Charles Fillmore talks about the law of cause and effect. You've all heard this, right? So he says, the things we see outwardly are the effects that have arisen from the causes that are invisible to us. Now that's kind of annoying, right? If I don't like something in my life, there's a cause, and I'm probably it. That's the truth. That is the truth. You know, many of you know my house in Little Rock was hit by the tornado on March 31st of 2023, and it's still not put back together. It's still not restored. It's gutted. And I have worked really hard not to be frustrated with the contractor, not to be angry at the delays, not to be just outraged by the increasing cost. Because why? Because there's nothing that energy is going to do for me in my circumstance. There's still something, obviously, that is in my belief about this situation, because I've got a new contractor and hopefully any day now it's going to start, it's going to happen. I'm asking for a timeline this time. Really, well, I asked last time too, I just didn't get it committed to. But we have to look, right? Where are my beliefs, my words, my creative energy, my thoughts? Where are what I'm putting out there in my toroidal field? This shape is called a torus. When there's energy coming this way, it's a torus. Not like Taurus, the bull, but Taurus. But that field of energy, what is it in my field of energy? What is it in my thoughts, my beliefs, that's keeping me from my good? Where am I not willing to receive my good? How am I limiting my belief in my own good? I have to own it, right? I have to own it. And I have to watch myself, because it's so easy to say, the contractor or this or that or the job market or the whatever. We can't allow ourselves that luxury. And it is a luxury to complain and to be focused that way. For a minute, if you time yourself, just let yourself have a little shh, but then pull it back together for your own good. Now, you all are lucky here, because the art of quantum living is being taught currently by Al Mahesh. And I think Deb is going to get trained and Tony is getting trained. This program is a really good program, and those of you who have taken it and feel that you got a lot out of it, you can share with others. But this is a really good way, and you're fortunate to have it being taught here, and they're going to continue to keep making more and more opportunities available. But it gives you an opportunity to find those places. It's a process. It's very simple, but it is very effective. You can get down to what it is that's underlying that I'm not even looking at. And then you can take a look at it. And then you can work through it. And then you can do another worksheet, because it'll bring up something else, because we're human beings and we're complex. We're not complicated. We're simple. We work in a very orderly fashion in the world. We're a human, we have thoughts, we have words, they create. Very simple. But we're a little bit complex in that our thoughts and our mind and our knowing in our heart don't always sync up. That's why the heart math work is so important. So you've all heard the parable of the talents, right? So I like this story because it's in the Bible. It's Matthew 25. So the landowner is going away for a while. He has these three main, the Bible says servants. They were, people who take care of his stuff. So one of them, he looks at, he goes, you know what, I really trust you. I'm going to give you these 5 responsibilities, and that's for you. And this guy, I confident in you too. I'm going to give you 3. And this guy, well, I'm not sure I'm going to give him 1, because I haven't really seen a lot from him. So he goes away and he comes back. And of course, I'm paraphrasing, right? You didn't want me to sit here and read Bible verses to you. So the guy comes back, and he goes to the guy that had the 5 talents, and he said, oh yeah, I took them and I put them into circulation, and I got 5 more back. So he had 10 to return. And the second guy is like, oh yeah, you gave me 3, and I put it into circulation. I got 3 in addition to that, so I have 6 to give you. And the other guy's like, oh, I was really worried, because you're really not that nice of a guy, and I'm really worried on how you might react if I lost this 1 talent. So I just took it and I buried it. But it's still here. And he brought back 1. So the first guy, because he knew how to put everything into circulation and multiply is good, he got more responsibilities, he got more opportunities. And the second one with the 3 talents, the same thing. And the first one, you don't even want to know what happened to him. That was pretty funny. You don't even want to know what happened to him. Yeah. Anyway, it wasn't good. So, but that's how we block our good, right? We decide I only have this one thing. I only have $10 in my bank. What about I have $10 and I can take care of $10 worth of my obligations rather than I only. See the energy contracting or expanding. But here's the kicker about this story. It ends like this. For those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But for those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. Now, don't you just want to go, oh, that's not fair. That's like that old saying, the rich get richer, and the poor get, kick in the butt. This is about consciousness. It's not about fairness. If you have a belief in abundance, your life will demonstrate more abundance. If you have a belief in lack and only and just, then your life will demonstrate lack and only and just enough. So it's those who have are the ones who believe. They're willing to receive. They believe in good. They believe that we live in an abundant universe. And those who believe in lack and do not believe and do not understand how the first principle, we live in God's universe where everything is an expression of God. If you understand that, you know there's nothing out of reach for you. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Now, you might be a little bit old to go to medical school now, if that was always your dream, but you can find a way to express that desire that you had to go to medical school in a way that fulfills that need to serve in that way. There's all sorts of ways the universe will present to you things that you haven't even thought of that will fulfill your desires. So again, remember this field, right? Remember, you are in control of it. Love expands, fear contracts, judgment contracts, acceptance, opening your heart expands that field so that you can have a broader opportunity come to you. So let's think real quickly, and I'm going to wrap up, but about the ripple effect. We all understand that, right? But there's also more to it, because in physics, there's this term called constructive interference. So as a community here, when you think abundance, constructive interference means when these two waves of energy hit, they amplify one another. Destructive interference is when you have this wave, and then you have one coming in the opposite, and they cancel each other out. Now, the fact is, we're not always in proximity to people who believe the same things that we do. And sometimes our beliefs get canceled out. But if you put your attention on what you want, if you put your attention on abundance, if you're willing to receive, you will match yourself up with more people of like mind. And there will be an amplification of your good, but it's your choice. I like this one because it kind of shows both, right? You see some of the circles are being amplified and some are being canceled out. But it's how we are. It's the way it is in the world. So be open to receive. What you receive could be guidance. It could be inspiration or just a knowing. It could be something tangible that demonstrates abundance. It could be your health, could be your bank accounts, harmony in your relationships, or just acceptance of others, and most importantly, acceptance of yourself, just the way you are. These are all various aspects of abundance and prosperity in our lives. So I want us to say this together, but I want to talk about it for a minute. I am, you know that is what? I am is one of the many names of God. When we say I am, this is a vibration we're putting out there. I'm open and willing to receive, to give and receive abundantly. Let's say it together. I am open and willing to give and receive abundantly. Do you want to do it again? With more shit. I am open and willing to give and receive abundantly. I am. So this week, I want you to be open to receive. You got to get quiet. You got to still your mind and your heart and open. Look and listen. And then welcome everything. Because sometimes something is just a breadcrumb to lead you to something else, right? It's not just what it appears. So be open to everything. Be willing to receive, regardless of, stop judging what you receive, right? Because you want a tall, dark, and handsome, and a short, stubby comes along, be willing, right? At least open your mind. I had to say that, because somebody this week has been trying to fix me up with somebody all week long. I'm visiting. I don't, that's okay. See, I wasn't willing. But it's the way that we just have to follow the guidance, right? It's a joke, it's funny, but it's also part of who we are, right? So thank you very much for having me with you this week and last week, and I love you all so much.